What's funny is I had initially recorded this video to be an audio-only video where I was just going to loop trailer footage over and over again. I can still do that. Like, I can loop it over this, but I don't really want to. I just want to have some face-to-face time. Because what started out as a technological limitation for me having to sit down and talk to you on camera rather than just doing other stuff, has now just become what I like to do. I mean, I could very easily just talk to my microphone and put up pictures and footage over the whole thing. Like, that's why I bought the shit that I have right now, but I just don't super want to do that all the time, so we'll see. Point is, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is coming out in exactly 2 weeks from when I'm recording this video. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm very nervous. I honestly can't look you in the eye and tell you that I think that this movie is going to be good. I really do believe that The Last Jedi sidetracked the story to the point where there's really just no coming back. I'm not going to get into agenda or SJW shit. I don't care about that right now. What I'm saying is the story as it stands, with Rey, with Kylo Ren, with Hux, with Luke, with Leia, with Han, with Chewie, with Lando, with Poe, with Rose, with Finn. I think I said Finn already. I just don't think that this can all progress well and culminate well within the 2.5 hour runtime of The Rise of Skywalker. Whether you liked The Last Jedi or not, there's a lot of people out there, myself included, that really did not. And again, even if you didn't like it, there's a lot of people that did like it. It's a very divisive film. A lot of people aren't even accepting it as canon. A lot of us have just decided that Episode 6 is where it ends. Maybe Rogue One, because Rogue One takes place before then. But, I mean, there's just... Here's the thing about the position J.J. Abrams is in. He's got an impossible task. He has to make a movie... He has to make another Star Wars movie that people can even enjoy. The only reason people liked The Force Awakens at all is because it reminds you of A New Hope. Because it is A New Hope. That's also a lot of the reason that so many people didn't like it, because it just didn't feel like it was putting forth anything new. It felt like it was all something we'd seen before. And I get that. I understand that. I agree with that. But now he has to make the conclusion to not only this sequel trilogy, but the entire Skywalker saga. Everything that happens in and after The Phantom Menace needs to come to a head in this film. And it has to carry on naturally from where we all saw these characters at the end of The Last Jedi, and it has to have some sort of meaningful impact. I think that's going to be very hard to pull off in any capacity, because here's the thing. It's not his job to make us feel better about what happened in The Last Jedi. It's not his job to course correct the narrative. He didn't do The Last Jedi. He had nothing to do with that film. The fallout from that movie should not come raining down on him, but it is. He is not contractually obligated. He's not studio mandated to work damage control after what happened on The Last Jedi. But us, the fans, these Star fanboys, we're putting a lot of pressure on him to make this movie cancel that last movie out, essentially. Like, yeah, a lot of impactful and important stuff happens in Episode 8. The death of Luke, the destruction of his lightsaber, the death of Snoke, Kylo Ren is now Supreme Leader. I mean, that's pretty much it. All the really important stuff that happens in the Last Jedi happens in about 15 minutes. But, yeah, like, to carry on as if none of that had happened would not work. It would be like trying to divide by zero, basically, in the film world. There's no way that JJ can just carry on as if Episode 8 didn't happen. Because even if Episode 8 did very directly impact the narrative that he would have wanted to tell for Episode 9, and now he has to come up with something different because some of his major players are gone, still, like, he can't, he'd have to still carry things over from episode 8 to this movie, and that wouldn't make a lot of people happy. You can't decanonize episode 8, and you can't heavily canonize episode 8. You can't act like everything that happened in it is going to be important in this story, because people aren't going to want to watch that. But like I said, you can't just ignore it because there's too much impactful stuff that happens. Luke Skywalker can't just walk back in the room fully alive like, hey, what's up? I'm here to cocksmack Supreme Leader Snoke. Like, it's not going to work that way. Now, the Emperor being involved in this film does make me feel things. I really don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the Death Star from episode 6 being in this movie, because last time we saw it, it had been blown to actual smithereens. Like, it was nothing left but goddamn stardust. But, whatever. I mean, we all know J.J. Abrams is like, hey, remember this? I remember this. Do you remember Spock? I remember Spock. Do you remember Khan? I remember Khan. Do you remember the Death Star? I remember the Death Star. That's how he makes these movies. And if he gets a chance to make his Superman movie, it's going to be the same thing. Hey, do you remember Christopher Reeves? I remember Christopher Reeve. Like, whatever. I'm getting sidetracked. The point is, I do not trust J.J. Abrams to tell a detached story, a standalone story, a story that functions individually, both from the trilogy and from the entire saga. Because, like, he can't, right? He's not allowed, basically. This movie has too much that it needs to do. It can't really be an Avengers Endgame where, yeah, it's the culmination of all these previous films, but it's still a strong story on its own. It helps to have previous knowledge, but still, the story that it tells essentially begins and ends in its own runtime. It's not exactly a part 2. I don't trust that The Last Jedi can carry itself that same way. Not The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker. I get the feeling that it's either going to play too much damage control from the last film, or it's going to do none of it, and it's going to make people mad regardless of what happens. Because like I said, The Last Jedi was a divisive movie. People liked it, people didn't like it. And now to just move forward as if it either really happened or it didn't happen would just box him into a corner. There would be no escape. He would suffocate under the weight of his own ambitions. There's no way out in a situation like that, and I honestly would hate to find myself in one like that one day. I don't want to make a Star Wars movie. I really want to make movies based on things. I want to make a Teen Titans trilogy. I want to make a Superman movie. I want to do all this shit, but I would never, ever want to make a Star Wars movie. If I was going to make a Star Wars anything, I'd make a show that was just like off on its own, but I wouldn't make a mainline movie. It's not going to happen. That's just me, though. That's not even what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, regardless of what happens, this movie is going to make $1 billion, at least. And because of that, Disney might get the sense, even after Solo flopped hard at the box office, Disney might get the sense that they can just kind of still do whatever they want with Star Wars. Like, The Last Jedi made a lot of money, not comparatively as much as The Force Awakens, but it still made a lot of money. It's not too popular with the fan crowd, but it still, you know, the world revolves around dollars. And it made like 1.6 billion of them. But with this movie making $1 billion, it could send the message, like I said, that Disney can just do whatever they want with Star Wars and they'll still attract the money. And it's easy to say that Solo failed because it wasn't an episode blank, it was a Star Wars story. That's not true. Rogue One made $1 billion because it was interesting. It didn't come right off the heels of the most divisive Star Wars movie ever made, and it still had a lot of merit on its own as a film. It's still one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Solo is not. Solo is not most people's favorite Star Wars movie. It's just, like every advantage that I just said Rogue One had, Solo had the exact opposite. You know, like it was sent out to die, basically. But this movie, because it's an episode 9 rather than blank a Star Wars story, probably does have a better chance of making more money because people want to see how it ends. People are interested in these characters. People just want to know what happens. There's people like me, like, I know this movie's going to be a train wreck. It's like I'm watching traffic footage of a car about to, like, two cars about to, like, head on collide, and it's in slow motion, and it's just, they're getting closer and closer and closer, and I just can't look away. That's how I look at episode 9. I know it's going to be a dumpster fire. I know it's not going to be good. I know I'm going to hate it, but I have to see it. I have to see it for you guys. I have to see it so I can tell you guys what I thought of it. so you can maybe decide if you want to watch it. I don't know. I don't control you, but still, I mean, when deciding if you want to see this movie, consider, do you care about the business side of things? Like, do you really want Disney to continue to just crank out Star Wars movies until the end of time, until it's not special anymore? Do you really want them to get the idea that they can just play fast and loose with the Star Wars legacy, just do whatever they want, not care at all, shift blame to other people? Like they said that they worked closely with George Lucas on the script for Episode 9. That way, now, if you don't like Episode 9, they can just blame George Lucas. That's how that works. Do you want them to continue to betray people like they betrayed George Lucas? As written in Bob Iger's book, George Lucas felt heartbroken after what happened in Episode 7. Do you want Disney to just keep gaining more power, really? I mean, and on the narrative side, do you really want these characters' legacies dragged through the mud? Do you care about these new characters? Do you care about this new trilogy? Do you care about this new story? And that's all for you to decide when you think about whether or not you want to watch this movie. Again, I don't control you. Do not make your decision based on me. Just do it for you. And I'm sick. And if you feel like you want to watch this new Star Wars movie, that's great. If you don't, that's great. But I will see you in the future.